Hello everybody, this is Zed, and welcome to another episode of StarCitizen Ship Reviews. Today we got the F7C Hornet. This is the civilian variant of the Hornet. I'll be doing another review on the Super Hornet as things change. Now I say that because I know that the Super Hornet is going to end up flying a little bit differently from the regular Hornet. Right now everything is based in stats. The Super Hornet flies exactly the same as the regular Hornet. It's got better shields and better power plant, and that's really all there is to it. You can exchange out right now the power plant and the shields onto the F7C and not have any bit of difference in the way that the two ships handle. And I know that most of you guys are going to be having the regular F7C, especially in the persistent universe. So this is just a review on the design of this ship and how it currently flies. Now, granted, this is all going to change by the time the persistent universe is out, but I'd like y'all to just bear with me a bit. I think these are a couple of problems with the flight model right now with the Hornet and everything like that. Now, I did say that I was going to be doing the Gladiator review next, and I was going to do that in the hangar, but I found out recently in the Around the Verse video that was recently put up, I believe it was number 38, said by Ben Lesnick, and confirmed on the forums, mind you, because I know we can't really trust Ben, right guys? It is going to be flyable in the next patch 1.1a. If you haven't heard it yet, you heard it here first, but I don't think you've heard it here first. The Gladiator will be flyable, supposedly with torpedoes, so stand by for that. I can't wait to fly it. I have one my own self. I bought one when it first came out in the concept sale, so I've been waiting for it to come out. We never saw any information on it for the longest time, and then it came out and we loved every single second of it. I just want to start with the landing gear here. This is a big design flaw that I don't like. I like the fact that the wings fold back, but the rear landing gear, they gotta be 86th. You take them out and you put in a center line landing gear, possibly right below the engine, and just have them kind of spread out a little bit. The reason why I say this is you guys have seen it before and I've seen it before. The first thing that usually goes out on the Hornet is the wings. They seem to be the weakest area of the ship, considering that it is a brawler type ship. Not really a dogfighter, it's more of a slugger, really. I consider this to be a medium fighter and not a light fighter and not a heavy fighter. The reason for this is it's fairly small to be a heavy fighter. Granted, we have the Vanguard out, so we know what a heavy fighter looks like now. It looks big. There's a little bit of living space on it. Possibly the same thing with the F8 Lightning, or maybe the F8 might be just the big brother to the Hornet. But this is a medium fighter. If a Gladius is a light fighter, then this is a medium fighter. They want this to be the standard of what dogfighting should be for the fighters, but I would say that if anything, the Gladius is what's going to be the standard, especially in the persistent universe, just because the Hornet right now, the flight model for it is just terrible. And I'll get into that when I'm flying it around for a little bit. Let's go back to the engine here. And a little bit more on the rear landing gear. Sorry. When you get that shot off and you go on for a landing in Squadron 42, I don't want to be penalized for trying to land and having my ship destroyed because somebody shot off my landing gear and having no other way to go. And I'll do a video on what I think of the landing later on. I've been practicing a little bit with it, and there's a couple gripes that I have with it. It seems like too much of elite right now. I think that we should go for a little bit more of a Battlestar Galactica stance with landing. Now I'm going to be linking the GDC 2012 video of the Hornet flying around with Chris Roberts showing off StarCitizen for the Kickstarter. But this engine is one of the most awesome engines that I've ever seen in a space game ever, and it was one of the reasons why I actually funded the Kickstarter originally, because there were so many points of articulation with the engine that they were showing off that we still have not seen yet. particularly these paddles, which they've continued to keep on, but they have not shown us like what they do or anything like that. But in the GDC 2012 video, when they're flying the Hornet around, he's showing off all the animations, everything. They had everything done. It looked beautiful, and I want you to watch it not only to show you how far we've come with these 77 million now, possibly $78 million, when they had nothing. They had 4 or 5 guys. They worked on the Bengal, they worked on the Hornet, and that's all they had done. And I just want you guys to see how far we've come, and I'll link that in the video description. But these paddles were kind of like a vector thrust thing, which was pretty cool, and I want to see that again. And I hope that they haven't forgotten about it, because it's a really cool thing, and I think it's supposed to be adding a lot more maneuverability to the Hornet, but we have not seen that yet. Also, with these thrusters down here, originally with the Hornet there was going to be the same gimbal thrusters on all 8 of the thrusters that you had to maneuver around, but they changed it when they first came out with the original redo, or the remake rather, of the F7C. These thrusters changed along with them, and I don't think really very many people noticed, but these can only swing back and forth. That's all they do. And I've noticed a lot of people like to go into these yawing turns where they only have 2 thrusters working to their advantage, and that doesn't really help them out a lot. And when you guys try and outfly me when I'm flying in my Hornet and I'm banking into these turns like I do, and I'll show you, it just doesn't work out for you. So let's head on inside and get comfortable, because we're gonna go out for a flight. And I'd like you guys to hear the computer voice and everything like that on each one of the reviews, because I love hearing these computer voices, and I hope we hear more of them in the future. For better or worse, I love it when my computer's talking to me and telling me all the relevant information that I need. All systems online. Alright, let's go. I don't like how it says landing gear or takeoff complete before I've even landed. But there's a couple of things with landing I'd like to get out of the way while I'm flying around here. One is I want my own landing gear button, which would fix a lot of the issues that they've been having with the landing gear just randomly coming out or being stuck out. And it just adds that one more sim type element that a lot of people are looking for. That, and I would like to see some real runway landings. I know in the future we're all going to have VTOL and everything like that, but sometimes the more dramatic approach to anything is to get those nice sparks flying skid landings, and I'd love to see that in the persistent universe as well, having those emergency landing runways and everything like that. But I'll cover that all in my landing ship review type deal. But for now, it's all about the Hornet. I'm sorry, I'm kind of going off on tangents here, but these are things that I've noticed in the Hornet that kind of need to change, particularly with the way that the landing gear is set up. I like the skids. I don't like the way that they're placed. They have no relation to how anything would want to actually land. And I have a bit of experience with aircraft, and I know a lot of people else do, and they all have these issues, but you know, that's just the thing. So let's talk about the way that this flies, okay? And now I've noticed a lot of people in Arena Commander, they like to do these yawing turns right here. They like to circle around their guy, shoot at him, you know, and do all these crazy things. But that doesn't really work in a fight, alright? So with the way that the Hornet's lower thrusters are configured, if you do a banking turn like this, you're gonna get a lot more bang for your buck, as it were, when it comes to outmaneuvering enemy Hornet pilots. You want to bank in your turns with this, because it's definitely has this lower it just has lower thrust than the other than the other ships. And I think the thrusters on this ship are not powerful enough for how heavy the ship is, and I think that's a major design flaw. It does not turn as well as other ships. Now this is just a turn without anything. I'm not even touching it right now. I'm just letting it go do its own thing. You see how much it slides. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. I would consider it unacceptable for any dogfighter. If I was a military official and I saw the Gladius fly the way that it does right now, and I saw the Hornet fly, I would never in my entire life purchase a Hornet over a Gladius. I don't care how much damage it can take. If my pilots are good pilots, then they won't ever need to have that tanky damage absorbent material, whatever it might be, metal. I don't know what the Hornet is made out of, some super space alloy. But you'll find a lot of the times, and I'll do some StarCitizen gameplay, like some Arena Commander gameplay, to show you what I mean. But every time I go into a turn, I want to hit that shift button. I want to hit the afterburner, which I don't think should be called an afterburner anymore because it doesn't make you go faster, but I have to hit it every single time I make a turn. Otherwise, I just get no responsiveness out of my ship at all. It's like my G-Safe is always on, and I don't like it. And I don't think you guys should be able to stand for it, because, I mean, this is a military craft. Whether or not this is just the civilian version and we don't have the military thrusters, that's fine. I don't care if they're giving us some cut rate thrusters for our civilian ship. But it's like that on the Super Hornet, and if it's like that in Squadron 42, I'm not going to stand for it. I will be on the forums 24/7 until I see that change, because no military would ever allow a ship or a plane to turn this horribly without some major issues with their own military personnel not wanting to fly at all because they know it's going to get them killed. And I've gotten killed so many times by me running out of afterburn fuel and not being able to do anything because I slide everywhere. And if I have 2 to 3 seconds of this right here where I cannot change direction and I'm getting shot at the whole time, I'm a sitting duck every time I want to turn. And that is not good when your ship can't even fly faster than anything other than a Cutlass and an Aurora. Every single ship flies faster than this one, guys. Every single one. So just take that into account, all right? This ship is awesome, though. Don't let me deter you from wanting to get one. What I'm saying is, right now, the flight model for it is not correct. Now, if I have to make turns like this wide, this turn is about as wide as the old Arena Commander area, almost. And that's how terrible it flies. But don't get me wrong, you know, I bumped myself up to 18 on the leaderboards, rank 18 on leaderboards, without mono boating, without doing any of that crazy XML edit crap, with a Super Hornet, obviously. I mean, it came with the ball turret and everything like that, and I got one way back when they were doing that Weekend Warrior package. But it's just not a good flyer anymore, considering that every ship can now fly faster than it, by a long shot fly faster than it, has more powerful weapons than it off the bat, and has way more powerful thrusters for how big the size is. So while I don't want you to let that deter you, I mean, it can take a hit. It can definitely take a hit, and it can last out there taking hits longer than anybody else. But in the persistent universe, when people fly in with these things and they focus them down because they know that, 1, they're easy kills, and 2, if you focus them down, they're nothing, then you're going to see a lot of people dumping their Hornets for other ships, most likely for the Gladius, or for a heavy fighter that can take more damage if it gets focused. Simply because the Gladius looks like less of a threat, but is way more. But we're out of time for today. I hope you enjoyed this review, and as always, fly with